Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to be working on lowering this 2017 Veloster base model. It's my personal car. And yeah, it's been a while since I've lowered a car, so I'm going to go ahead and lay out the tools you need, the safety stuff. We're going to walk through the rear and the front. This particular car happens to be coil springs in the back with shocks, and the front is your typical McPherson strut. So two different types of stuff going on there, and we're going to show you how to do both of it. There's some videos on the internet and stuff. I just figured I'd share this and make this my own because, man, I haven't done this in a while, and I figured there's somebody out there that could probably benefit from it. So bear with me in this video and see what we get. All right, so I decided to go ahead and start on the back of the vehicle first. Mainly just because the car was backed in the driveway, so it was easier for me to just roll up the garage door and scoot her back some. You want to go ahead and get started by setting the emergency brake and making sure you're blocking those front tires. And then just break out whatever tools you're comfortable with and get those wheels off. In my case, I just used hand tools, but you could easily break out the air impact and, you know, get that off a little bit quicker. But hey, I got a fast forward button, so why not use it? Alright, and just as important as everything else, we're going to go ahead and make sure we get that car on jack stands before we start working on it. The last thing you ever want to have happen is a car fall on you. So safety first here, don't take it lightly. Get some quality jack stands, get them under the car, and make sure that thing's stable before you crawl under there. Alright, now here I'm just removing the rear shock first. You're going to go ahead and get that shock off. That's going to allow the suspension to fully open up, which is kind of the first thing you need to do to be able to get that coil spring out. Alright, and with the shock disconnected, you can go ahead and let the jack down and go ahead and give the spring a little jiggle and it'll come right out of there. Just like that, the old spring is out and the new spring goes in its place. Pretty simple procedure. All you're doing is sliding the top in first and then making sure the bottom's lined up correctly. And gonna go ahead and bolt that shock back up, and that's really all there is to it. Alright, and this is what they look like installed with your shock hardware back in place. And I'll try and pan around there. You can see my ugly face. You can see what they look like on the perch. Alright, and now that we're done with the back, we can move on to the front. It's a pretty simple procedure. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing by setting the emergency brake, blocking the rear tires now, and getting the wheels off the car. Don't forget those jack stands. You don't want this thing falling on you. Alright, so go ahead and locate those top bolts on your vehicle, usually underneath the hood on the front, and get them removed. Alright, moving back down below, you want to go ahead and disconnect the brake line clip that's holding it in place. And you don't need to remove the brake line in this situation. There's usually just a retainer clip you've got to pop loose and get out of the way. Then you can get to the two bolts that hold the bottom of the McPherson strut unit on. Once those are removed, the whole assembly comes out as one. Alright, so now that the whole strut assembly is removed from the vehicle, we're going to get it up on the bench where we can take the spring off in a much more effective manner. The easiest and safest way to do this is by using a coil spring compressor. If you don't own one, you can go to your local auto parts store. Most of these places have tool rental places like O'Reilly's, AutoZone, where you can get the tool you need to do the job safely and correctly, and when you're done, you return it and get your money back. So trust me, that's the only way to go. Go ahead and get that spring off, and you can use that tool to put the new one on as well. Alright, now if you're not familiar with how a coil spring compressor works, don't worry, these tools usually come with instructions and there's plenty of videos right here on YouTube to understand how they operate. It's relatively simple though. You know, that whole righty-tighty, lefty-loosey thing, you're just going to go ahead and crank away until you take all the tension off the spring and it can be safely removed from the top of the strut assembly. Of the new springs, I'm using the Godspeed Traction S Sport Spring. I ordered these off Amazon. Shout out to Amazon. There's no links or anything like that. You just look them up for your car. I don't know how good they are. I don't know how bad they are. I've heard mixed reviews. I'm not looking to do any real track time with the car or anything performance related. So I'm just pretty much looking to get that cool lowered look, man, and get rid of all that fender gap in between my tire and that. So we'll see how they do. If they don't work out, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just air it. Who knows? All right, so this is a working shot of getting the new spring back on. It's just a reverse process of what we did before. Now you're just loosening it, making sure that these springs are indexed correctly where they need to be, and the little rubber boots and the little stops right here. Make sure that guy's in there nice and tight. You've got plenty of cranks so this thing doesn't come flying off and kill you. All right, so the installation process is just the exact opposite of removal. Everything you did to take it off, you're just gonna do in the reverse sequence to put the car back together and get it on the ground. Hopefully looking cooler than it did before. One of the hardest things I find when putting things back together can be getting everything to align correctly. So it's good to have some punches or an extra screwdriver handy, something to get that hole lined up so you can get the first bolt in. Once you do that, you're home free. Now, if you guys are looking for proper torque specs for your vehicle to make sure everything's buttoned up correctly, it's easy to find that stuff online nowadays, thank goodness. I know in my case, that's all I had to do was just a quick little search for a Veloster online. Everything I needed was there. Final walk around. So you can see, definitely solves that whole fender gap problem. I think the car looks better overall. Trying to get an idea of clearance there, maybe look down the side. And that's that. Definitely worth it. And in my opinion, the springs ride a lot better than stock. Doesn't feel so go-karty. As far as how they'll last and hold up, well, I don't know. We'll shoot a follow-up video maybe in 6 months to a year.